All right, welcome everyone to episode, and I want you to know it's episode 98. So cue up your favorite boy band from the 90s and bring it in with us because we have a special treat for you now. It's a unsung classic from my favorite director of all times. And I know that Rick's got a lot to say about it too. I know because he's been champing at the bit.
Champing.
Champing. It's the horse term, yo. Horse term.
Yeah, to me, I have three Danny Bennett wow moments, right? One is, the first one's probably like, wow, he really likes Ninja Scroll. Two was, wow, he really likes the slogan from Popcorn.
So far, there's no lies.
Right. And the third is, wow, he can quote this entire movie, Darkman.
So it must have just hit at the exact right time because I mean, like, yeah, when I was watching it, I was like, it's kind of like Star Wars, before the line comes up, it's in my head.
Yeah.
And
yeah. How can you go this long and have not seen this movie? Really? I mean, it's I haven't seen it probably since, I don't know, one of the times we got together and watched it, I think. But
yeah,
this thing holds up, man.
it's 1990. It's a year after Batman came out.
Right.
Sam Raimi has a relationship with Danny Elfman, and so Danny Elfman does the music, which honestly I can kind of gripe about because it's like Danny Elfman's got one speed, and I get it; they're all a little bit different, but really not. We could have been watching Nightbreed, or we could have been watching Batman. Anyway,
he can do those things, but you got to remember at the same time he's Oingo Boingo. So there's cocaine Danny Elfman. Then there's, crap, they're paying me a lot of money to do this, I better sober up, Danny Elfman. So
that's a good point. And if that's my biggest complaint, was that while I was watching it, I was going, Danny Elfman's music is making me think of other movies. Yeah. And that's not the worst. Right. I don't hate the guy. I think it's like when I found out that Alan Silvestri was doing the music for the Marvel movies prominently, and I'm like, that's well earned. That guy, he you never talk about him really, but he's done most of the music for all the Hollywood blockbusters the entire time I've been alive.
Right.
But yeah, Danny Elfman has this place, and this is smack dab in the middle of it, right? 1990. Yep. He was hot commodity at this point.
Sure. And I mean, look at Sam Raimi. Here's a guy that's breaking out. People are starting to pay attention. Universal offers him this deal, and he wants to make Batman, right? Yes. He can't get the rights to Batman. Tries to make the Shadow, can't get the rights to the Shadow. So he just writes his own character, which is really a combination of the two.
And it's so good. Like, it made me want to see what he would have done with Batman. Because I mean, again, like I said, he is one of my favorite directors. But all that said, let's talk about Darkman.
This movie, I mean, is there a better example? Well, let's just say this. Before Sin City and we got all these other movies, is there a better example of a movie that looks like a comic book strip?
I mean, like, you might make an argument for, like, the Creepshow movies that have like the panels, but it didn't need that because, to your point, it's just. And Sam Raimi wanted to make a comic book movie. Yeah. It's why it's why he stole some of these things, like I agree. It is absolutely 100%, especially a comic book from this era where you're dealing a lot with anti-heroes. And Marvel kind of had to back off that precipice and have their characters be heroic again because we had so many years of the Punisher and things like Darkman and Batman in the Frank Miller universe where they were judge, jury, and executioner. It's like everybody was Judge Dredd and nobody had any pity or empathy. And Marvel kind of came back in and said, well, let's change back to where heroes were heroes and not judge and executioners.
Right. Yeah, they dialed it back a bit. I mean, you still get a little more it's not as cheesy as some of the older stuff. Not to make fun of any of it, but they didn't dial it back that far, right? I mean,
Right.
Obviously, you can distinguish between good and bad, but for the most part, yeah, it's not Big Shot from The Tick, right?
Right, right.
Why did you love me, Mama?
and the reason these things resonated so easily is because they made sure to make the bad guys super bad. Like,
Yeah, right.
nobody's got any pity for Durant or the evil businessman of the 80s. you know,
Yep.
I don't
Could
remember what his name is. That's
well
not something I can quote, but that
could
guy,
he could have
the
been
high
in
steel guy,
yeah.
high steel.
He could have been the bad guy in RoboCop. I mean, it's that standardized
Very
Amer-
RoboCop too.
yeah, very yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean you got to have that guy, right? I love when you look up the cast. The first two people that it brings up, of course, Liam Neeson, right?
Well, yeah.
Number two, Bruce Campbell.
So they got like what the first on screen and the
The
last on
last, yeah.
screen.
And so the story there too is, Sam Raimi wanted Bruce Campbell to play Darkman, and Universal thought, I just don't think he can cut it. So they brought in Liam Neeson. Matter of fact, there's a whole list of people that tried it. Are like, whoa, that would have been different when you kind of read through the list. I can't remember them right now, but the fact at the very end of the movie, you see Bruce Campbell, which looks almost like a Mentos commercial, right? You just expect him to go.
So for those of you uninitiated, we don't tend to outline the plot of these movies, but if you haven't seen Darkman, go watch
Yeah,
Darkman. Seriously,
absolutely.
I mean, like, sure, it's got some special effects problems. It's dated,
Yep.
but you might watch it and go, "What is Liam Neeson doing? Why is he so young?" Because he doesn't look like Liam Neeson
Right.
anymore.
Right. I mean, before he was, hunting people down and finding out where they are and taking them out with those movies, then you got before he was cutting the legs off of Hayden Christensen, he was Darkman.
So my first reason to watch Darkman is Durant's crew.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So so the bad guy in this movie is Robert G. Durant. You know that well, he's got this crew. He's got a guy with a wooden leg. He's got a dude with long hair who dresses in purple suits. He's got a Hispanic guy who, side eyes everybody. He's got the bald dude from Swamp Thing.
yeah.
And then it's him, right? It's really just,
That's kind of it.
and like, so what, like they waltz into a dock where there's like a whole gang of people with have cars waiting in crates to like drive out at an opportune moment. There's like 800 people in this warehouse, and I think they have some like fleebs on the outside or something that might get killed. But I mean, for the most part, they have no casualties, and they started that whole thing with one gun.
Right. Which which is a hidden gun.
Hidden gun.
Yeah, man. Danny Hicks, man, from Evil Dead 2.
Oh
The guy
yeah,
missing the leg.
Bobby
Bobby
Joe.
Joe!
I
Where
didn't
are
even
you, girl?
recognize him.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
Danny
even
Hicks.
recognize him.
Yeah. I mean, you got your typical Sam Raimi lineup, right? They said that they believe that there's a scene where, Darkman is swinging across town off the helicopter, which is amazing.
Oh my god, it's so
But he
good.
but he almost hits the old Raimi car, right? The Delta
Yeah,
88 is coming down the street, and apparently the Coen brothers are driving that.
nice.
And there's that. You got John Landis in this, who's one of the doctors when the doctor is leading them through there and talking about, look, you can poke a pin at him, he don't even react, all this stuff. Which that is what's her name? Hold on. Jenny Udger.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, she was a girl in American Werewolf. She was also in
Okay.
Logan's Run.
Yeah, I thought she looked familiar, but I didn't know from what. Like,
Yeah,
and
which I mean, you got John Landis and her together in a scene, so that kind of ties back to American Werewolf.
they
There's
really
all
did
these
like,
clever things,
and I mean, just people in I now you're bombarding me with all these facts. Like, I just knew it was a good movie.
Right. Well, I mean, I'd forgotten that. I guess because I wasn't looking for it before, and I was like, because they all had masks on. I was like, man, it looks like
Sure.
John Landis, And sure enough, when I looked it up, and I was like, wait a minute, the girl talking, that's, the nurse from American Werewolf. So,
Well, and behind the camera, you got the
yeah.
director of photography, and the director of photography is Bill Pope. Okay,
Yep.
so look up Bill Pope, and you'll see just the reason why. As soon as I saw his name, I was like, "Well, this makes perfect sense."
Sure.
He did all the Matrix movies.
Hmm.
He did. He was the director of photography for I think the Addams Family movies that Sonnenfeld did, because Raimi, Sonnenfeld, the Coen brothers, they know
Hmm.
what importance to give to a director of photography.
Right.
The Coen brothers got Barry Sonnenfeld to be their DP on Raising Arizona, and you can tell. I mean,
Yep.
it's clean, great cinematography. And Bill Pope is the director of photography on this. All the shots are good. I mean, like the effects are a little sketchy because that was the time. You had a lot of blue screening. You had
Hmm.
some practical effects that now they probably would have digitized, which may or may not make it better. But
And
holy cow, this movie is incredible.
there's things about this though, even now, even though the effects are kind of dated, they still look so comic bookish, and I think that's what makes it work. The thing where the camera goes into his eye, and you see the anger and the rage and the screen splitting. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's great. It's great.
Well,
It easily could be a frame in a comic book.
I'm pretty sure that Raimi reuses the fade. So when Peyton Westlake's lab explodes and he
Yeah.
flies out on fire. So we watched two movies in 2 weeks where somebody gets set on fire and lands in the water. But
Yep.
he goes flying into the lake, and his Frances McDormand's sitting there, and she walks out and sees the lab, and then as she fades in from looking at that,
Oh yeah.
the veil
To the
comes in,
veil
and
comes
she's
on
wearing the mourning clothes for,
at the
she's standing
funeral.
in
Yeah.
front of the tombstone, and I think they did that in Spider-Man 2
Yeah.
with Mary Jane,
Yeah.
like that same fade in effect where they went from the accident to the funeral.
Yeah.
It's great.
Flexing the muscles, man. I mean, it's that visionary thing when you think of Sam Raimi and those instant visuals just come to mind. He knows how to get it on film, and yeah, what can you say? Larry Drake, man. I mean,
Larry Drake.
did this really set the wheels in motion for him to become what he did? I mean, I know he was on the TV show there for a
He was
while.
on LA Law,
Yeah,
and I mean, and then what, he was Dr. Giggles, right?
Dr. Giggles, man. I mean, that's kind of. Do you say that's my high point? It's kind of like saying I was Captain Kangaroo. you know,
I
I
mean,
was Dr. Giggles.
I don't know. Did he come back in the sequels to Darkman? Because I'll be honest, I don't know Darkman
You know
2
what?
or
I
3.
haven't watched them either. Maybe we
I
need to just to say
maybe
we
we need
did.
to. I know they replaced Liam Neeson with Adrian Vosloo, who's the guy who played the Mummy,
Yeah,
and that guy's solid.
sure.
And actually, he looks more like Darkman. When it comes to like the Phantom of the Opera kind of thing, he's more of a, I don't know. He's less. His face has less characteristic. Like when it comes to
Right.
Liam Neeson, he's so unique looking that covering half his face is kind of like taking away a lot of his clout as an actor. But so at the heart of this whole movie, I don't know if he comes back in Darkman 2 or 3, and I might
Yeah.
give those a look.
That's,
At the heart of this, it's a revenge story, right?
yeah.
It's a comic book revenge story. You got the scientist who gets caught up in the middle of the Belisarius memorandum thing, and like they're looking for these payoff records that prove that somebody's been doing something nefarious in the government, and they find them in his lab because his girlfriend had them, and that's the whole reason he's involved in the first place.
Right. So
And so they torture him, they kill his lab assistant, which if you're houseboys, predicament doesn't he's like he's a lab assistant. Like, I always love that line because it's kind of like, why would you call him a houseboy, you racist? And then he's like, he's the lab assistant. And then the guy's unfortunate karate moment where he's like
he
knocking
steps
some
in the
guns out
moment.
of
It's
people's
like,
hands.
yeah, this isn't gonna work. Hey, I tried, boss. I don't know how to do it. I just thought, it's in the in the ancient background of of my history. I just tried it, you know.
It came to me. So what is your first reason though?
Well, I just wanted to stop.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Thank
show you this before we go any further because we're talking about the second one. The second one is actually called, how do I do this so you can see it?
The Return of Durant.
The Return of Durant, and it's got his face on it. So
okay, so he's there. Wait, how does he return?
I don't know.
and Darkman 3 is called Die Darkman Die.
Yeah, I thought that was right too, but I don't remember Darkman 2 being the Return of Durant. So.
I remember we had them at Ingram, like they were in that room, and
yeah, we just never watched them.
We watched some bad stuff. We watched Beastmaster 3.
If we did.
Didn't take that.
Oof.
The Eye of Braxis.
The Eye of Braxis.
So what's your first reason to watch Darkman?
I didn't really work on reasons, but to me,
yeah,
just the way the whole thing is just put together, man. Here's it is in a nutshell for me. When I'm watching this, you know, I'm going,
lay it down.
Yeah, I know he took the idea of the shadow. I think it's pretty apparent, right? Even the look, you kind of get the shadow look. I know he was making Batman, but it's really like Batman in reverse. Because everything that happens to Liam Neeson is really like what happens to the Joker, right? Because he gets his hands burnt, he gets dumped into chemicals, and so he's coming back after the bad guys, almost like Joker-wise, because it makes him insane. He flies off the handle, you know, very Joker-like. But we're looking at him as the good guy. So I just thought that was interesting. That really stood out to me this time. Of you're really telling the story of, you know, a character like the Joker, but you're putting him in the Batman role.
That's something I've never thought of. But yeah, I mean, well, and again, it goes into that anti-hero thing.
Absolutely.
You know, around this time, everybody was kind of sick of truth, justice, and the American way, and they liked seeing heroes who got things done, right? Who, you know, you feel powerless. So these heroes, they're not going to go in and decide what's right and what's wrong. They're going to throw some fists, and when the bad guy is so bad that he kills puppies, they're gonna, you know, dump him in the fire. You know,
who doesn't love a hero that crashes your helicopter into an overpass and goes, "Burn in hell!"
Burn in hell. I just realized that in my first reason, you know, the Durants, I left one out. Ted Raimi.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like I named all the guys, and then you got the pretty boy Ted Raimi, who is the first one to die.
Right.
You know.
Oh man, that scene.
Darkman shoves him up out of a manhole in the middle of the street. You know, and
it's like cars are coming, and he's like waving him around, trying to hit a car with him.
and you know, of course, it's a Sam Raimi movie, so like all the cams are like, you know, they're like car cam, like they're swiveling around his brother. He's like, okay, Ted, look more scared. Ted, look at me. Look, Ted.
Somebody hit him in the head with a wheel. That'll get him. That'll make him react, you know, like he should.
It's method. It's method. He's method. He loves it. Just do it.
Oh, poor Ted.
Their mom goes, Sam, did you hit your brother in the head with a wheel?
No, we just tapped him.
He needed a job, Mom.
Jobs aren't easy. You got to take what you can get. Again, I was floored by how well it holds up, because I think when you put it in context of what it is, instead of trying to say it's a 1990s movie, I think when you look at it as a comic anti-hero movie, it does everything right. How can you go wrong with Sam Raimi montage things going on where the clock is going by and you see it change and you see the documents that they're looking for? I mean, it's Sam Raimi, man.
And it's just like my love for The Quick and the Dead.
Yes.
It's just such a good movie. Everything about it is done that it doesn't overstay its welcome in any one particular phase.
It's wild you say that, because I instantly after I watch this, it's like, I kind of want to see Quick and the Dead again now.
Sam, if you're out there, I got to meet you once. I just, you know, thank you.
Once.
So oh yeah. Well, we did that one.
Yeah, we did.
So the doctor, he makes synthetic skin
Yeah.
the thing about the synthetic skin is it can only last in light for 99 minutes. So, you know, he's making, so when he goes on his revenge thing, he starts to like masquerade as these villains, and he can only be out in the sun for 99 minutes or his
Yeah.
stuff starts to like bubble.
Yeah.
His skin's all, and that's great,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because you got some situations where he's like, "Where's the money?" you know, and he's just got his hand covering his face because it's starting to. Yeah, it's
So
great.
my next best reason to watch this movie, so that he's trying to frame Durant for something so he can get him out of the way, and he has to, you know, put him in jail. And so he taps his phone, and then I don't know how he imitates his voice, but he does. And he taps his phone and then puts on a Durant mask, and you see it from the angle of the security camera where he walks up to the the
Just a
counter.
little gas station or a little convenience
He puts
store.
a gun to the guy, and then he recites the lines that were in the phone conversation. He's like, okay, buddy, just take the money. And he's like, my name's not Buddy, it's Durant. And then he turns to the camera,
and looks right at it like
Robert G. Durant. So good. And then it segues immediately to his front door, and the cops are there. He's like, yes, I'm Robert G. Durant. And they clap the cuffs on him. You know? It's so good. It's so good.
Oh,
I mean,
the whole setup for the guy from Polly, the guy from
yeah.
Swamp Thing, same thing, right? He's wearing the mask, goes and picks up the money, and where's the money? Where's Ricky? You know, I don't know. I don't even know how I got dressed.
Yeah, and then, you know, of course, they're criminals who don't trust each other anyway, so they just throw him out the window. So they throw him out the window, and he
Have
lands
a
in
nice
the
flight.
Yeah, have a nice flight. Throws him out the window. He hits a car, and so Darkman,
Yeah.
I guess it's for the scene, but it makes no sense that he would just be sitting at the park. He's sitting at the bus bench, you know, and the lady like sees Polly. Oh, I just hit a car. And then she looks over it, and he's still wearing the
He's
mask.
still sitting there
He
looking
looks
at her.
and she's like, you know,
I wonder who that is because I feel like she must be somebody,
oh, maybe.
but I just never. I kept saying maybe this is Lucy Lawless, but it's not
No,
because he likes to stick people in these spots, right? So.
maybe she played one of the tentacles from Dr. Octopus's costume.
If anybody knows, I just missed it. I didn't really look it up, but I just got to thinking, this is somewhere where he would put somebody specifically for a reason, right?
Somebody
So,
who's a good screamer.
right. So,
But holy cow. I mean, you
yeah.
already touched on the fact that the whole third act of this movie takes place in a helicopter chase, if you call it that. He's
Oh.
hanging from a cable from a helicopter, and the cops show up to like take down Durant's like bad guy helicopter with their cop helicopter, and he starts going, no, he's mine. From the bottom of the cable, he's telling him, you back off because I'm gonna kill this guy myself.
You're going down, Durant.
It's amazing.
It really is, man.
And that's after
no fear. He has absolutely no fear, man.
and that's after the showdown at his lab.
Yeah.
You know, which is awesome. It's every bit a Batman moment. You know, he's got his own home turf, and they break in to kill him, and so he's, you know, he's got the masks already made up to masquerade as them. He's you know, he puts one mask on one guy and then another mask on top of that, so that the guy will run up to him, and he pulls off the mask and sees that it's the doctor, and he shoots him, and then he pulls out that mask and he sees it's the other guy.
It's his buddy, his partner. Yeah.
It's all that whole sequence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
So good.
And setting it up just like what they did to him, you know, when they tried to kill him off, where he does the little bird, you know, that hits the lighter.
Yeah, so yeah, they've got the little woodpecker bird.
Hey, kitty kitty.
They've got the little woodpecker bird that you know is set up to hit the lighter, and then they've got the flammable gas going in the lab. Then he does the same thing in his own lab a second time with all them in there. I mean,
it's great.
It's so good, and it's Darkman. I'm telling you, if you haven't watched it, what I mean,
the dude with the long hair, like wears the suits, like he was talking about, when he's the one that kills. You know, he shoots his partner, who he thinks is the doctor.
Yeah.
And then he walks up to him, looks just like him, and goes, Nice shot.
Yeah, he's got that unhinged grin. It's a very Bruce Campbell as Bruce
Very
Campbell
much.
there.
Well, I was thinking too, is like earlier, talking about if Bruce Campbell got the role, instead of going, Linda, it would have been Julie. Because that's done like 20 times in the movie. Julie.
Well, and what's more Bruce Campbell than when he's losing it in the lab. He puts the funnel on his head. He's like, "Oh, see the dancing freak, just $5." It's like that's Bruce Campbell as Ash right there, losing it.
That's Danny quoting that a lot of times.
No, the best one is so they go to the carnival.
The carnival scene.
And he's like, well,
I'm gonna win you the biggest prize I can.
And he's throwing the baseballs at the bottles. And as he's like, well, I don't think you could like me if I was some kind of freak, and he lets him fly, and finally knocks and again, it's another Sam Raimi moment. You see the throw, you see the ball, and you see the bottles explode. And you feel the whole emotion of the moment. And then of course you got the carny who's like, I'm sorry, you weren't behind the line. You got Tom Petty over here. You weren't behind the line, buddy. And he's like, I was right here with my girlfriend. He's like, no way.
No way.
Why is this guy fighting so hard to keep him from getting the fuzzy elephant?
Right.
Which it's the F word elephant, but
right.
In the edit that they did for network TV back in the day, it was take the fuzzy elephant, and I always thought that was pretty awesome.
TV edits are the best, man, especially when you know the movie already so well.
Oh my god,
racist melon farmer, man, that one's hard to beat. Samuel L. Jackson, I know it. You just a racist melon farmer.
So when the carny reaches up and puts his hand on him, and he just takes that rubber hand, and they go for the screaming faces. It's so good.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's another Evil Dead moment too,
yep,
where they're just
absolutely
flipping from screaming faces to a reaction. It's so good.
So many shots that are taken straight out of Evil Dead 2, as far as the camera movements and stuff, that just puts you in that weird, strange atmosphere that Sam Raimi just lives in, man. It's calmed down over the years, but this is the good times, man.
The only way it could have been better is if he had broke his hand and then taken a bat and hit the back of his head and his eyeball fly out, and then they show the eyeball flying out. Maybe it hits the bottles and knocks him down again. That would be.
Or his eyeball flies out and goes in Francis's mouth. Oh man, yeah, great stuff.
I guess the only part of the movie that I mean, please just watch it, because there's no way that I can impart to you how good it is. I just got to talk about the finale, where they have a fight sequence on the top of a skyscraper that they're building on the raw girders up there,
right?
And they're just running on these 5-inch wide metal girders, and
600 feet high.
Yeah, and the guy has a monologue about how he used to work in the high steel, and he was him and the Indians were the crazy ones who did it. That's a quote.
That's what he said.
That's what he says. And then he ends up fighting Darkman on there, and we get Darkman. He's a little scared looking down, but he's ready to jump and and lunge at him. And there's that part where he's looking around. Where did he go? Where did he go? Where did he go? He looks up right on top of him. So good.
Off of the top rope. Yeah, and of course the whole thing when they arrive there at that building and he's Durant, that whole thing is like, you look pretty rough. Yeah. How did you survive? I don't know.
The cockroach malfunctioned my helicopter.
And of course, he gives him the way he finds out that he's not Durant is, brings up his kids, and he's like, oh, by the way, well, they do look up to me. He's like, oh, by the way, you don't have kids.
It rips off his face. Whoa!
We could, if we would have had a dope kind of moment.
And of course, that whole thing culminates again, and he starts shooting the rivet gun, and then you got the Sam Raimi rivet cam.
Yep.
It's falling. Which kind of remind me of the 1989 Punisher movie where
Yep.
they have the fight on the docks and the Yakuza are throwing the ninja stars, and it's like they throw it and then like the ninja star goes, and it rivets Darkman's hand to a girder, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, she doesn't date freaks," and
Oh, that's it.
breaks his hand off, and oh man, it's so good.
It's awesome. And you think that they'll find he'll find a way, and he and Julie will get back together, Jules. But no, he's like, yeah, I got some things I got to sort out.
As Tasty Taste said, it ain't that kind of party.
It ain't that kind of party.
It ain't that kind of party.
So it's that thing of even if I get the skin and stuff, I'll wake up one morning, you'll cook my eggs wrong, I'll try to strangle you to death. It's probably not a good idea.
And I'll become Jesco White.
Right? It's tired of slimy, sloppy eggs. Billy.
Oh man. But, I mean, if you're listening to it and you trust anything we have to tell you, then and you haven't seen Darkman, please go check it out.
Absolutely.
I wish I could tell you it was free on Tubi or something, but I ended up buying it just so that I'd always have it. I think I already had it on DVD, but who has time for that anymore?
Right.
Yeah. It's every bit worth it. I'd like to get a director's cut, like a commentary.
Sure.
I love the commentaries with Sam Raimi on them.
Yeah. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. We'll just have to look for it. But yeah, I mean, this is a great revisit. And again, I haven't seen it in a long time. I always knew that I liked it.
Yeah.
But till you go back and check it out again, and it is 100% Sam Raimi land, and that's where I love to be, man.
I agree. And after all that stuff you've been watching on Tubi for your other show, I'm sure something with just
dude
a modicum of quality.
I just watched. I'm going to give some things away here because it's coming up I'm about 2 weeks ahead on the show.
Okay.
I've been watching a lot of crap. I was in Ohio for a week. I had to do something. I watched the first 3 Ghoulies movies. And I'm not proud about it. But anyways, those
get you in the end.
They'll get you in the end. So yeah. But so you're right. It's nice to revisit and everything coming out this week is all Smokey and the Bandit ripoff movies. So what they did was they made a movie, but they knew it wasn't very good, so they stuck the word Smokey in the title to sell it. Smokey Bites the Dust, Smokey and the Good Time Outlaws, Smokey and the Hot Wire Group. I mean, it's just like, really? And there'll be like one scene of a cop car in the whole thing, I
had no idea that this genre of film existed.
Yeah, me either. That's why I did it.
You're doing God's work.
I don't know.
The devil's work?
Anyways, none of that would even be possible if it wasn't for this show right here, which is the most fun, without a doubt.
I'm super thrilled to talk about Darkman. I mean,
well, sure. I couldn't have told that at all. So, you brought it up a while ago, and I don't think we've done it. Have we done Raising Arizona?
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have either.
It hasn't really been in the genre of movie that we do. Maybe the closest thing we've done to it is Grosse Pointe Blank.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I love Raising Arizona.
You can do it next?
Yeah, sure. Sounds great.
So episode 99 might be Raising Arizona. What are we going to do for 100?
I think we should do something totally underwhelming.
Like Jaws 3?
Yes.
All right. Unless you folks out there have a better recommendation.
Unless you want us to do Jaws 4. Because you just love Michael Caine.
Oh, man. That was so hard for me to get through.
It's really bad. Although I did go on a cruise and we went on a boat over to where they filmed it.
Oh.
And I saw where the plane was underwater and stuff.
And you were like, yeah, okay, that's all right.
I was like, here it is, folks, where the worst Jaws movie was made. That's saying a lot.
All right, folks, I guess that's it. We're running out of time. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you have suggestions for shows, let us know. It's always great for us to get back together and do some of these. So love to see what you recommend, what you want us to look at. I'm all psyched up about Cocaine Bear when I get my hands on a copy of that. So we'll see
Yeah,
how
that's
that
going to
goes.
be interesting.
Yeah,
I've been loosely following that, but yeah, it looks madcap
yeah,
for
it
sure.
does. Absolutely. All right, you got anything else to add, man?
No, just thanks for being with us, and check out Darkman if you haven't, because it's
Yep.
well worth your time.
Yep. You could have just fast forwarded to this moment right here and just heard us say you need to check out Darkman
The
and be
most
happy.
important thing, yeah, I mean, I love talking to Rick, and it's pretty fun to do that and be able to broadcast it for all y'all, but ultimately we wouldn't put the movie on here if we didn't want you to watch it.
That's
And that
right.
includes Jaws 3, because it's going to
Sure.
have its moments too.
Absolutely. So, all right, folks, that's it for this one. We will check you next time, folks.